Welcome to another Raw review. Well, not like a Raw review, a little slice of Raw. It's really a little slice of Raw. I'm going to still state on the video a Raw review. And in a sense, I will give my thoughts on the show, and that will be reviewing it. But I ain't going into detail. This show, I know people are going to say this show was better. It seemed to be structured better. It seemed to be more lively, and I'm sure people are going to say that. But I'm going to be honest here, guys. It doesn't make a difference how much better the show is without anybody there to really give the wrestlers input. It doesn't work. I'm being honest, guys. It doesn't work. When you look at AEW, it's still far superior to whatever Raw, SmackDown, and NXT is going to put on. I'm just telling the truth here. And they could say whatever they want about what's going on with the coronavirus. They got a large chunk of their people in the back that are healthy, that they could put in the seats. They could have seats. They could have heels on one side, faces on the other. There's no difference between people going out to the ring and staying in the back with the production crew. There's no difference. So the show still generally sucks. But you could say they did do some things to try and make it a little better. One, you couldn't see any seats this time around. That doesn't make it better because we still need people to really cheer. Why couldn't they put the heels and faces on opposite sides to make it better, like I said? What did I think about Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman? It felt dry. I'm not going to say what was stated by Paul. You already heard it. Look, if they just had tried something different, maybe if Drew McIntyre himself was on the Titantron and was speaking, might have helped. Here, it felt very dry. It just did. And zooming in on Brock's face didn't help. Now, the thing that pissed me off, totally pissed me off, wasn't the fact that they tried to fill time with two previous shows that happened from WrestleMania. It was the fact that one of those shows truly pissed me off because they tried to use that match from WrestleMania 2018 with Asuka and the wonderful, the glorious Queen, as everyone loves, the Charlotte Flair. It just shows how biased the WWE is. Asuka, a unique individual who was given 2.5 years run with no jobs to Charlotte because they need to give someone Charlotte to eat. And with Charlotte talking afterward, trying to hype her match with Ripley did not help. Honestly, I'm being honest here, guys. As far as I'm concerned, even if Ripley does win at WrestleMania, it doesn't really matter to me. Because it feels like the only thing that the WWE really cares about is sticking Charlotte where she shouldn't. That's the truth. Ripley should be having a match with Bianca Belair. Or hell, Ripley could be having a match with, you could say Shayna Baszler. I'm not saying that you should because they are doing that with Shayna and with Becky Lynch. And I'll get to Shayna in a minute. But honestly, throwing Charlotte every single time into the main title scene and on every pay-per-view, including this one, is boring. I don't care. If they'd done it with, well, give it to you like this. You could have had Ripley versus Bianca Belair, Ripley versus Asuka, Ripley versus Naomi, Ripley versus Bayley, Ripley versus Sasha Banks. You could have done anyone other than Charlotte to give someone else their chance, but they don't do that. So it feels empty. Now, Shayna Baszler had her interview with Charlie. It felt kind of cringe and forced. Like, this isn't what Shayna would talk about. Talking about how tough she is and about biting someone. Look, from what I've seen of NXT and Shayna Baszler, she doesn't act like this. She legitimately doesn't act like this. By her being thrown onto the main title scene, in the main show of Raw, she doesn't feel like herself. If the Queen of Spades, which she should be called not the cage fighter because they don't want to infringe on Charlotte Flair. And if anybody says Charlotte is great, why couldn't you just keep the Queen of Spades go up against the Queen? Huh? One of these days, those two will meet. And you couldn't say queen versus queen, who is truly dominant over the kingdom. That would have actually been something interesting. But no, you have to have the cage fighter. Garbage. But it doesn't really feel like Shayna. At least to a certain extent. She did show that she will take anybody out, that she can beat anybody. But it didn't totally feel like her. It felt like something manufactured by WWE on Raw. And then you had the Becky Lynch hit her in the back with a steel chair, while the entire arena is dark. Here's the problem. Shayna feels like the underdog. Becky doesn't feel like an underdog. They're trying to show Shayna as the ultimate destroyer. But Becky doesn't feel like she's the underdog. It feels like Shayna that's the underdog. And it shouldn't be Shayna. And people are saying, are you nuts? Tell me this. When has Becky felt weak? Was it when she got bit behind the neck? Nope. Nope. I haven't felt Becky weak once. And she's supposed to be the one you're supposed to fear. She should be trying to hype the match, showing that she is brave, but she's afraid. Nope. She just whacks her behind the back and acts like nothing's happened. Like she can beat anybody. She's still the man, but she feels always like the man. Where does she feel like she could be like Rocky Balboa? That's just me. We had a couple of matches. Cedric Alexander and the Ricochet versus Cien Almos and Garza Jr. with the Zelina Vega holding the U.S. title. I'm alright with it. It doesn't really matter who won the match. It looked alright. But then you had the Street Profits go up against two guys from NXT. Now, I don't recognize them because since I don't watch NXT, I don't recognize those guys. But honestly, that match wasn't as good as the Garza Jr. and Almost match against Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. It just didn't feel as good. Just didn't. Even though the Street Profits won, just like Garza Jr. and Almost won, I really didn't have to mention, but I have to in this respect. It didn't feel as strong. The Street Profits don't feel as strong as Garza and Almost. It don't. And their interview wasn't too bad. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Then you had a short moment with Aleister Black where he knocks the face off of somebody. He's in my face. I'm glad they're doing that. I understand that Lashley is going to be his opponent. I understand why they did that. And it actually makes sense. He has to destroy somebody really quickly that did nothing compared to Aleister Black. He is the Dutch Destroyer. He feels like the Dutch Destroyer, and in that respect. But I'm tired of them saying he needs to have someone pick a fight with him, and now he's not waiting. He's going after somebody. Why don't they just make him the Dutch Destroyer? That's what I want. Now, we had several video segments. When it came to AJ Styles, trying to put over this story, he's done really great. I enjoyed the entire thing until the announcement of the match. What was it? I forgot what it was. Not a graveyard match, but a boneyard match? I think that's what it was. Really? You couldn't do a casket match. You couldn't do a Buried Alive match. I would like to see a Buried Alive match. When was the last time we had a Buried Alive match? With Kane and Undertaker, I think in 2005? It's been 15 years, I believe. Why not have a Buried Alive match? That is the bread and butter of The Undertaker. We could have a casket match, but we had that a couple of years ago with Undertaker with Rusev. So I would have liked to see a Buried Alive match. That's what I want to see. Not a boneyard match. I believe that's what it was. It wasn't up the alley of The Undertaker. That just sounds like something that Vince threw out. It just felt empty. The last thing I'll talk about will be Randy Orton. Was his promo good? Damn straight it was. As everyone knows, when Randy is interested in something, he puts it over. And he made it very clear. He still loves Edge. He just didn't want his ego to get the better of him. And now Edge wants a last man standing match with him. He is going to annihilate him. And make him understand what he is. And the part I enjoyed most was actual truth. He admitted it. He was handed an opportunity. He was handed a chance to become something great because of Bob Orton, his dad. And seeing that he was right, Mick Foley passed the torch to Edge. And Randy had to face Mick Foley to try and take it from him. I believe that, well, honestly, both of them were passed the torch by Mick Foley, actually. But because we got the legend killer Randy Orton, not just the prospect Randy Orton out of it, shows that, yeah, let's be honest here, guys. Randy Orton got the opportunity because of his dad. He got into OVW, he got a good position, he got the IC title because he was Randy Orton. But counting on what you do when you get that position is how you know if you have longevity. Just like he said, longevity is very difficult in the wrestling business, particularly not just getting hurt, but showing that you can evolve and really make people interested. And when he's interested, he is good. So was this a good Raw? No. Did it have moments? Yes. Do I still believe they need an audience? They should have an audience that is from the people in the back, the heels on one side, the faces on the other, and they should be doing it, particularly that when, and I say this again, if WrestleMania has no audience whatsoever, having none of the staff or the wrestlers in the back in any seats, this show is going to suck. If it goes 7 hours each day, because it's the 4th and the 5th, I said the 5th and the 6th, that was a mistake. The 4th and the 5th, Saturday and Sunday, if they're each 7 hours, guys, and you only have the wrestlers by themselves with only the camera crew and the audio crew and the commentators, and I repeat that again, no audience, this is going to suck so much ass. But that's just me. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.